Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience here in the South and our online audience joining us worldwide. Thanks to our friends at iHeartRadio. We're glad you all could be with us as well. I think we all need some feel-good stories right now, and our next two guests are part of an incredible film that you guys can watch right now on Amazon Prime. It's called Into Light. We're excited to welcome actress and co-writer Amy Walker, as well as director Jessica Graham, to our program to talk to us not only about their journey in the entertainment industry, but why this project was so important for them, the message I think that really speaks to the time we're in today, and why they wanted to share that, and of course let you all know how to be able to watch it for yourself. Amy, Jessica, hello to you, and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Cyrus. Hello. Such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
Glad to do it. So I'll start with you on this, Amy. And, I said to you before we began the segment, it's really congratulations to you all on bringing this story to life. First of all, I want to ask you about how it feels. How does it feel to be able to have it available now for the world to be able to see it?
It's such a joy. This is the first time having written something, from ground zero and have it be all that I imagined and more with our phenomenal team, and then to have Multicom be so excellent and be sharing it around the world. It's truly fulfilling.
Yeah. And what about for you, Jessica? I mean, what has it been like for you to be able to not only to have been able to help bring the story to life, but also to see the way the audiences are responding to it?
I have to say it's a really wonderful feeling. I've been making films in one way or another since I was a teenager, and what I've found is as I've grown older and wiser, I've had a lot more intention around what I create, and this film aligns in pretty much every way with what I want to create and what I want to put out in the world, and so it feels pretty darn good.
Yeah. One of the reviewers on Amazon Prime, I'm going to be referring to this review a couple of times because it really struck me. It said about the film, Into Light showcases the lengths to which women and men went to fight for our freedom. So, Amy, I want to go back then to you and kind of talk about this journey. I mean, is this kind of why you began this journey of being in the entertainment industry, to tell stories like this?
Absolutely. I think biopics are maybe my favorite in that there are so many stories, so many real people who were incredibly inspiring, who lived even before the times that we're in now. I growing up and reading history books, I read about inspiring men and very few women who were actually living the whole time through every age. And so these stories, it's essential to me that we bring them out and share these inspiring people who have lived in every time.
I want to let Jessica jump in here. Jessica, what about for you as far as telling stories like this? I mean, does it make it all worthwhile when you hear comments like that reviewer talking about, how this film kind of makes them feel and what it reminds them of?
Yeah, I mean, getting feedback, I think, in all realms is really helpful, and it's really helpful as creatives, as artists, as filmmakers to hear from the people who are experiencing our work, because it lets us know if we're on the right track. It lets us know if what we're doing is having the impact that we hope it will have. And I just want to add, this project has been so deeply connected to our hearts with me and Amy. Like we've been, I feel like we've been in this beautiful sort of uncovering and discovering and expressing of this story, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I get a little brain-tied trying to talk about it too, because it goes so deep. And it's so just connected. It's connected to us in such deep ways, and I feel it in deep ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
thank
Amy,
you, Jessica.
I want to say this. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I think it's just it's like just hitting me right now. I've been working toward this all my life. And it's just hearing your words, Cyrus, and hearing these reviews from people, it's just hitting me that it's really happening.
Yeah.
And as an actor, these are the stories that mean the most to me, are people who dedicated their life, like Inez Milholland, for equal rights. And so to have people, the way that people have rallied around this project, and then to have it be received with the integrity of that initial intention is incredibly fulfilling.
Well, I'm just going to add too. You said something earlier, Amy, and it really resonated with me after watching the film and hearing you say it. Is that this is a 2020 story, and that's I think what makes it so fascinating. Also, and you were making the point earlier. It's like I think that's the thing. It is a now story. So I guess an obvious question would be then, how did you first discover the story, Amy? How did this first come to you that you said, you know what, I have to help bring the story to life?
Yeah, I was at an event by the National Women's History Alliance, wonderful organization, and Robert Cooney Jr., one of the 4 top historians on Inez's story, was presenting about her, and I was just so stunned that I'd never heard of this woman who gave her life, was a martyr to the cause. And at the time I was doing a one-woman show and taking it around the world, and I took a larger portion of her speech than we were able to put in the short film, and I put it into my show. And people, in Australia, people in London, people here in LA and other places around the world were inspired, were equally inspired across genders. And I knew that there was something really special. And Robert had said, I feel like you need to make a film about her. Who do you think should play her? And my hand just shot up. And he said, yeah, who do you think should? And I said, me. And so I, just started writing it and got the team together. But that's where it started.
So for you then, Jessica, how did you become a part of it?
So I met Amy in an acting class that I was auditing, and I was at the time casting my directorial debut, which is a short film called Listen, and it's about domestic violence. And I was looking for this actor who could say everything without saying a word. And I saw Amy's performance in this acting class, and I was like, that's the person. And it wasn't until later, after she had accepted the role, that I realized I already knew her work and that I was like a big fan of her YouTube work. And so I was like even more excited. And we worked together, and it was fantastic. And Amy is just such a incredibly beautiful person in every single way. And I loved working with her. And lucky for me, she loved working with me. And she asked me to direct a pilot called Group Ease for the YouTube Women in Comedy Initiative, which was headed by Elizabeth Banks. And then I get an email one day asking me if I'm interested in helping tell the story of Inez. And I knew very little about her other than her riding the white horse. And I just said yes immediately because it was Amy, and she told me just a little bit about this woman. She mentioned that she was in an open marriage, that she was an activist, that she, spoke up for women of color at that time, which was something that many white suffragists were not doing. And I was immediately just like, yes, I will do it. I'm in. And I dove into her biography by Linda J. Lumsden, The Life and Times of Inez Milholland, and I fell in love with this woman, and I related to this woman, and I am incredibly grateful that I got to help tell this story.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because, again, I had never heard of her either. So, again, when I was pitched this by October Coast, and I was like, first of all, who is this? I had no idea who it was. And it's so funny that you mentioned that, Jessica, because I also went to Lumsden work. And I want to read a quote that he said about her and ask the two of you about it and how these words resonate with you and the work that you all are doing today. Lumsden said she would get nervous before a speech, but she made herself do it. She was full of doubts about her abilities, but she would plunge ahead anyway. It's something that women still experience today. Amy, when you hear those words, I mean, what is it like for you, or do you feel any resonance with her as you kind of hear how Lumsden talk about how she felt, but in still knowing the impact she made?
Oh, yes. In fact, that was one of the windows in for me because Inez was so phenomenal. She did so much that I thought, oh, my God, how can I possibly embody the magnitude of her being and what she's done and been in the world? And so, but knowing her inner struggle, and we gratefully have a lot of letters that are in Linda's book, so we know what it was like for her. You know, we get these glimpses of what she struggled with, and that's been very true for me. I've definitely had depression in my life and struggled with self-doubt, and you know, we do it anyway. We do it anyway, and we stand on the shoulders of those who've gone before. So that was, and that's part of why, too, I chose this particular part of her life, because that magical penumbra between that moment when you're backstage, when you step on stage, or the moment before the camera rolls, when you go from being, you know, it's kind of the pumpkin versus the Cinderella, or, you know, when you rise to expand into the moment and what the moment calls of you, that has always been fascinating to me since being a child actor. And so I wanted to show, you know, what it takes to go from that moment of doubt into that, yes, I can, I will, I must.
Yeah. And what about you, Jessica, as a storyteller through film? I mean, to hear about how Lumsden talked about Inez and what she was able to do in spite of her fear and hesitancy, how do you feel a connection with that, with your work?
Yeah, I mean, I also really, really relate to that aspect of Inez. You know, even just speaking of this project, like this was the biggest project I've been at the helm of. You know, there was, you know, we had, I think, 25 or 30 extras one day, and it was a period piece, and, you know, it was, you know, this was Amy's dream. So it was like there was that aspect, which of course I felt honored, but that's, you know, that's intense as well to be asked to help give birth to a dream. And I, like Inez, deal with chronic illness and chronic pain. And so that was a part of it too, just being like, okay, body, like we're going to do this. This is important. This is so important that we're going to find the way to do it. And I did. And wow. It was challenging, but I did. And the feeling, definitely there was a feeling of Inez being there with us, like her spirit being there with us and supporting us through it and through the challenges that arose. And, you know, with low budget indie short films that are shooting for a very high standard of production, there are lots of challenges that arise. So I was for that feeling of Inez having our back, so to speak.
I'm glad you mentioned, Jessica, about challenges. I want to talk to you about that in creating a short. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, though, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome actress and co-writer Amy Walker, as well as director Jessica Grimm, to our program. We're talking about their new film, Into Light. It's a short film available. There are partners at Amazon Prime. You guys can watch it there, featuring, of course, the journey of Inez Milholland. So I want to talk about that. I mentioned that review that I wanted to go back to, that one of the things it said, of course, was the link to which women and men went to fight for our freedoms. It started off by saying this, though. Were it not for women like Inez Milholland, I would not have been able to fulfill my dream of becoming a female police officer in the 1970s. So, again, it does show the importance of a project like this. But I want to talk to the two of you about the beautiful challenge of it all, because you're able to capture this in a 12-minute short. First of all, Amy, what was that like for you to meet that challenge?
I knew I wanted it to be short enough to be very shareable in this election year. So yeah, we wanted it to be an action-packed it's really about 9 minutes plus the credits. So, it's a whammy. But I think the biggest challenges were just budgetary, to be totally honest. How to make it look as gorgeous as we needed, and our incredible Emmy-winning DP, Sherry Kauk, had done some awesome research and knew that we needed those pickle pat lights that are behind me on the stage. They're period perfect, and so just being able to get what we needed and have it be period appropriate for a very slim budget was probably the biggest challenge. And then just wearing multiple hats as writer, thinking of then updates for the script that I wanted to do tomorrow, but also being one of the producers on it, and then needing to just be an actor. Gratefully, I had incredible producer Martine Mello and our whole team, so had a lot of support.
And Jessica, what about for you? What was it like for you to meet the beautiful challenge of it all in being able to help bring this to life?
I love that you call it a beautiful challenge. I think most challenges do have beauty, don't they? So, time, which actually translates to budget. We had 2 days to do this, and it's not a lot of time, even though it's a very short film. It's complicated, and especially when you have a lot of extras, that's a challenge. And so, yeah, I mean, if we could have had one more day, it would have taken the stress level for me probably down like 50%. But I've been, I think my first independent film was when I was 16, and it was shot on film, and I was an actor in it. And, that's always the thing. It's like time. There's just never enough time. And even on, bigger budget sets I've been on, it's always that time thing. So I think that's probably one of the bigger challenges. And then, it's also, just a challenge to just making independent film in of itself. Like, I'm a meditation teacher. Nonetheless, there is non-negotiable stress involved. It just is. And so, mitigating and managing that stress. I definitely ducked away a few times and found a quiet corner and did like a 2-minute or 1-minute meditation before I came back in to keep going, and that helped.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I mean, definitely kudos to all of you, to the team that helped to bring this to life. And Amy, definitely thank you for, being willing to pick up this challenge, and Jessica, for you bringing all of you to it as well. I mean, I think it could not be more timely. And I love the fact that reviewer, which is why I wanted to make sure I highlighted it, said that men and women can appreciate this, because I definitely came away thinking, wow. I mean, I think it's one of those things that is a conversation piece, but also it is an inspiration, because it reminds us of what we can do if we choose to. And that's exactly what Inez chose to do. Again, everyone, Amy Walker and Jessica Graham have been our guests. We've been talking about their new project called Into Light. You guys can watch it through our friends on Amazon Prime, so make sure you guys head over there, watch it for yourself. For those who are joining us via iHeartRadio, the link will be actually with the podcast notes for this. You guys can click on it from there. Amy, how can our audience stay connected with you?
I'm at Amy Walker Official on Instagram, or amywalkeronline.com, and those are probably also soulfirecreations.com is our production company with my partner Nipwin Nair, who did the post-production, almost all of the post-production for this whole film.
Wow, cool. All right, so make sure you guys are following Amy. And Jessica, what about yourself?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Jessica Clark Graham. And then my filmmaking acting site is a little out of date, but that's jessicagraham.com. And then if you're interested in mindful sexuality, spiritual awakening, things like that, you can find me at yourwildawakening.com.
Okay. Amy, Jessica, again, congratulations to both of you. Thank you so much for taking out some time for us today, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you, Cyrus. Such an honor and a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure's definitely on mine. Thanks to the two of you guys. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.